Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and thank you for joining us once again, TheModenstersOfGaming. I'm KaijuK, with me here is Necro Nick.
What up?
And we are doing a part 2 to our Pokemon Mirror Edition idea. Now, I was going to originally make this a once-a-week kind of idea, build up some ideas and everything, but I had some spare time, and I'm suffering from some swollen digits today, so I decided to go and outright draw a map. I got the idea from another YouTuber. I'll have his name and link to many of his great videos in the description below. Please check him out. He is making his ideas for Pokemon from different regions. Now, the reason I can't remember his name right now is because my brain has completely turned off and I don't have it written down. So I apologize ahead of time. Now, the idea of this map is quite simple. I'm going to go and go through piece by piece what it's going to be, and I'm going to even read small descriptions along with it, so you can kind of follow along, and hopefully you don't just skip ahead because you might not know where we are at that point, because I'm not very good at drawing maps. So let's start off with what the original map actually looks like. This is the Galapagos Islands from cruisegalapagos.com, which of course was also found on Google Pictures under somebody else's name, so hopefully that was a member of their team. If not, they're already being robbed. So as you can see, the Galapagos Islands are actually a sprawling mecca of islands. However, I have actually dumbed it down a little. Yes, that's right. Who would have thought KaijuK would dumb something down? So this is the map I've spent the day putting together. As you can see, it's missing a couple of the larger islands, or the northern and southern islands, but this is a pretty good idea of how I want the routes and everything to look like. Now, just to give you the heads up, there's different color coding for everything, so allow me to fill it out. The purple dots are cities or towns. The purple dots with green triangles are where you'll find gyms. The black dots are either locations in a route or locations where routes connect. The black dots that have yellow squares in them, or you might just see yellow dots, depending on how this comes out on the actual YouTube page, are places of either you can't reach them just yet, or they're just places of interest, period. And last but not least, you'll see 3 different ones. You'll see, well, 4. You'll see a red arrow. That's pointing to where we're going to start the journey here. That's the starting location. In the upper right corner, or the northeast, you'll find a purple oval with a gray star in it. That is going to be one of the locations for one of the opposing forces. In the upper left corner, or the northwest, you'll find another one that has a blue heart with a pink symbol around it, or pink shader around it, rather. That's for the other group. And finally, if you look in just slightly to the right or east of that, you'll see a red circle with a yellow limb. That's the Pokemon League of this location. So, this is going to be a bit of a long one, so without further ado, let's start this off. At your beginning location underneath the red arrow, you'll find Dig Site Alpha 2. This is where the quest begins, this is where the game begins, this is where you run into your father. To the west of that, or to the left, you'll find Route 1. I'm going to try and draw these things up later on, but as we all know, I'm horrible with artwork, so don't expect any freaking miracles here.
Right.
It's going to be a serpentine post, and it's going to lead to 2 locations. To the south, you'll be able to go to Route 2, which is going to be a straight shot. Nothing big about that, just your standard Route 2. While going north will lead to Dragon Hill. However, you can't go to Dragon Hill yet until you have 5 gym badges due to the dangerous Dragon-type Pokemon that are roaming there. And they are some cool ones. Trust me, Necro helped me pick out a few of them. Going south, of course, will lead you down to Little Pick Town. This will be where your first gym is. Now, I haven't really put an idea behind what I want to make the gyms like, so I'd like some advice from the people below. Would you like a standard game where the gyms are all based on an element, for instance, ground, rock, steel, etc.? Or would you like an idea like basing it off of a job or a location, for instance, a construction gym, or a dance gym, or a rich person's gym, you know, things like that. But we'll skip that for another day. Now, from here, you have 2 decisions. At the beginning of the game, you're only going to be able to go in one direction at this point, and that will be, you'll only be able to go to the east, or to the right. This will lead you to Route 4. From Route 4, you'll go to Route 5. Route 5, of course, if you have the hover shoes, which is going to replace Surf in this game, you're going to be able to reach the Beach Cave. Now, the Beach Cave is going to have some random loot and some random Pokemon in it, and hey, there may even be a very, very rare Pokemon you can only find there. Going north from this point, you're going to reach Route 6, which is actually going to go across a bridge to a small island and then cross back over another bridge. Now, depending on the day of the week and the time of day, you'll actually run into different opponents or even traders that are going to be on this bridge. So, what you have going on is a chance to run into, say, one day you might run into a bug catcher, the next day you might run into a fire trainer. You know, you just gotta be careful. And some days you might even just run into some guy that's peddling some wares, or maybe somebody who wants to give you something for free. Now, of course, if you go west from here or to the left, you can't, because Route 7 will only take you up to the point before the Dragon Hill. Now, of course, you can still use Route 3 and Route 7, you just can't go too far into them before a guard stops you. Now, serpentining our way back to Little Pig Town, we can then go to the, after a few events, you'll be able to go west, which will take you to our first other city. This is Pinzidia Island. You can only reach this thing by boats for now, but eventually when you actually get the hover shoes, you'll be able to go right across the route. Now, this whole island is dominated by one massive city. It's just been completely wrecked. It's just a city. Everywhere you look, it's a city. And it's a rich city. Lots of hoity-toity types running around. Now, it's also home to the second gym, which is actually, my idea is going to be either a rich gym or a normal gym. Either way, you'll be running into a new Pokemon called Servutler. Once I get this island done, you'll be able to meet him. There's going to be a bunch of shops and even beaches for you to roam around, and quite a lot of mini-games. I like the idea of making this a 3D event, so maybe like a little Mario Kart-like race, maybe some guessing games, and some ways to get points so you can get some Pokemon for free, maybe. Now, underneath this massive city is going to be an even more massive sewer system. This is going to be a multi-part dungeon. You can only reach certain points without requiring certain HM items. For instance, you can only go so far without needing something that's going to, say, cut down a broken fence, or some part where it's going to be flooded, so you're going to need the hover shoes across. And as you go deeper and deeper into the sewer, you'll run into more and more Pokemon. There's going to be an ongoing quest, of course, to help... bloody hell. Of course, people are trying to talk to me now. They don't want to talk to me during the times that I'm not recording, but hey, talk to me while I'm recording. Let me turn that off. It'll be eventually for you to go and find the 8 Servhounds, which are the unevolved forms of Servutlers, that got lost in the sewers. And each time you find one, you'll get a new item. When you get the 8th one, the rich person will actually give you a Master Ball. So this is how you get the Master Ball in the game. Now from here, there are actually 3 routes that can lead out of, well, 4 routes that can lead out of here, including Route 8 that you took in. But we're going to go to the north, which is Route 9. This will lead you to Sandstein Town. Now, Sandstein Town is or Sandstein Island rather, is a kind of an industrial area, a small harbor, and home to the 3rd gym leader, who's found at Salt Lick Point. This is where you'll find the gym leader, Necro Nick. Whoa. You'll actually have to face off against Necro Nick and his chosen Pokemon group. Once again, that'll be based on if we get any votes. If not, I'll just vote around with the Modensters. Now, to the north of here, you'll leave and find your way around Route 10, which will eventually lead you to a point where you can go either west to Route 11, which will lead you to an abandoned dig site, which after getting, I don't know, I'm going to guess probably either 6 or 7 gym badges, a rare Pokemon can only be found there. It'll be a one-time only. I don't think it'll be a legendary, but I think you can only find him there. And I actually have a really cool idea. I'm going to show Necro later who it is, but I have a really cool idea who's going to be found there. Now, from there, you can actually also go to the south to Route 12, which will lead you to Salt Lick Mine. Now, the reason I chose Salt Lick is originally on the map to the Galapagos, this is actually where a gigantic salt mine was found. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be a salt mine in the game. It could be any type of thing. But regardless of which, it's a small dungeon where you will actually run into the Azure Order for the first time. Now, these are the people that want everyone to leave the islands as they are, so that the Pokemon can live out and evolve as they can. They're the complete opposite of the Steel Hand, who believe that if they use their technology, they can actually make the place better for the Pokemon, and thus keep them alive longer. Now, from this point, you can actually go south one more time, and this will actually lead you to this small island off the coast that's actually called Battle Island. It's the only place in the game where you can do online battling, but you can also do a lot of non-online battling, as it's going to be basically a battle tower that you're going to be able to reach as well. Once again, it's a multi-part tower where you'll require you won't need different items, you'll need different badges to reach the next point. So you'll still be able to, say, go and muck around point 1 a couple times, and maybe make some gold off that, or money off that, but you won't be able to go much further. Now, enough being said, going back to our wonderful place of Pinzadia Island, we're going to reach and head to the sort of off to the southwest a little. This is going to take you down to Route 14. Route 14 will then become Route 15. Once again, you'll be using the boat for this part, so you won't have to worry about this. But if you come back later on with the scuba suit, you'll actually be able to find an underwater cave system right where the two of them meet. Some adventure there. I like the idea of being able to swim underwater, maybe have random water Pokemon swimming around, maybe even some massive ones. Maybe even one that you can't seem to catch just yet. Hint, hint. Now, this is actually going to lead you to Vanilla Port, which is part of the Bella Bella Island. This is the largest island on the map, so it's not hard to find. And this is one of the less populated islands. As you can see, Bella Bella Island only has 3 cities, even though it's massive. Now, the best part about this Vanilla Port on the island is actually where your main character's home is. This is where where you can meet your sisters, you can meet your mother, who's going to be the 4th gym leader. It's a moderately sized city, and there's actually many members of the Azure Order walking around. Now, they're not hostile, they're just basically chilling out. Now, from the west here, you're going to go to a small place called Route 16 and Hot Pot Point. Now, this is going to be a small area that was just recently active, and you'll actually be able to run into a couple fire types here. I had to find a place on the map where I thought fire types would literally be able to live, and the Galapagos Islands are not really well known for being active volcanoes anymore, so I just picked this point right here. Now, from the west of that, you can actually find Tadapt Cove. You'll need the Mini Jack HM item, or Rock Smash, in order to reach it, and it's home to Tadapts, which you've seen in the previous videos, or in the previous video, and all 4 of its forms, which we'll show you once we reach this. Now, the best thing is each type lives on a different point in the cave, and it can only be reached at different times, as the tide will go in and out, and thus you can only reach it with the hover shoes at certain points. Now, there's of course the main area that will be filled with Tadapts, so don't worry about that. Now, heading back to our wonderful city of Vanilla Port, you can then go north, which will lead you to Chilled Top Mountain. It's going to be a cold area that's almost constantly going to be snowing, so always get ready for hail. And this is where a bunch of ice types are going to live. Now, I'm going to skip over the next 2 routes for a second and say you can also head east from here. Now, east from here is going to be the Pokemon Preserve. Now, where this is where all the Pokemon from the more industrial islands that would be almost extinct are now living. Now, this is going to be a large area, a lot like the Pokemon, the Pokemon Safari. Now, I don't know if you guys remember that back from Red and Blue, but man, I love the Pokemon Safari. I spent many hours there. Now, this is going to be the same idea. You're going to be able to go in, you'll pay money to go in, and they'll give you preserve balls, and you'll be able to go around. Now, I thought of 2 different ideas for this. One is you battle them like regular, and if they get too low, they'll actually run away, so you don't have to worry about accidentally killing them. Or my second idea was kind of make this like a fun mini game, where you get behind your character, make it like a third or a first-person view. You can sneak through bushes and around trees, and you can try to throw the Pokeball like you do on Pokemon, what's that one that was on the phone?
Go.
Pokemon Go. Why didn't I think about that? Pokemon Go, where you can actually throw the Pokeball at the Pokemon. You can actually see the Pokemon you're looking at, and try to catch it that way. And of course, obviously, you'd have to be sneaky, because of course Pokemon have better hearing and everything like that. So I think it could be a great idea. Now, going back, of course, to Chilltop, we're going to go to Route 19 and Route 20, which there's very little is going to be going on those routes. They're going to be basically straight shots, but I think one of them is going to be a forest, and maybe one will be a desert. Who knows? This will, of course, lead you to Dig Site Alpha 3, which will be at the top of another mountain. Now, Dig Site Alpha 3 is another place where you can get some quests. You'll run into your sister that's joined one of the 2 groups here, and have a heart-to-heart with her, which involves you guys throwing miniaturized weapons of mass destruction at each other until you eventually beat her. Now, from here, you'll have 2 choices. Now, this is where the game actually begins to change a bit, because this is something that was only brought up in dialogue in Pokemon Red and Blue. The Pokemon War. If you head down Route 22 to the west of Dig Site Alpha 3, you'll run into the Destroyed Harbor. This is where the first true battle between the Azure Order and the Steel Hand happened. These guys just went all ham and destroyed the entire port town. This port town is now filled with just grass types, steel types, and ghost types. There's not much to do here yet, but you'll be able to come back and do something with this place later. Now, going back to the Dig Site Alpha and going north, you'll reach Route 23, and from there, if you go north again, you reach Champion Point. Now, this leads you to the Pokemon League, but as usual, unless you have all 8 badges, you ain't going nowhere near it. So they're not going to let you. But Champion Point, of course, has all kinds of high-level, fully evolved Pokemon running around it. So, you know, go ham there when you get the chance. From there, we'll head up to Route 24, which will actually go across some random terrain. I'm thinking it'll have a coastline, maybe some a shallow atoll that you'll be able to walk through, or maybe you can use the hover boots to go across. And finally lead you up to Flores City. This is home of the 5th gym. This is most likely either going to be a grass-type gym or something to do with nature, depending on your guys' choices. The great idea I have for this one is it's going to be part of a giant petrified forest, like petrified redwood-sized trees. And people have actually built their houses and the buildings out of these trees. So you actually go into the trees. From here, you can go to the west across Route 25 if you have the hover shoes. I'm pretty sure you'll have them at this point in time, but I'm not sure when I want to give them. And you'll be able to meet that big first oval, which is the Azure Order airship. It's a giant flying airship for the Azure Order. Who would have thunk it? Now, this airship is going to have vines and trestles dripping down with it, plenty of flowers, lots of life on top of it. And this is where you're going to be able to meet the leader of the Azure Order and some of the lieutenants. And possibly your sister if she signed up with this one. I'm not going to tell you which one, or maybe it'll be a random event. Maybe we should make it a random event. Either way, down in the bowels of the ship, you'll actually find 2 small reserves, which are free, that you can go in and find Pokemon. The people only say, please don't make the Pokemon faint, so if you make them faint, they're going to throw you out of the ship and you'll never be able to do it again. So, you know, try your hardest not to make the Pokemon faint. Save before doing it. Now, this is going to be one of the 4 most important locations in the entire game later on. Right now, it's just a place you can visit. Now, this is where things can get a little fun. You can either head back to Vanilla Point, or you can head back to Pinzadia Island and go to either Route 26 or Route 27. Both will lead to the same place, and they lead to Honeycorn Port. Now, this is a small port town. It's actually separated into 3 areas. The areas are the port itself, a small town, and then, of course, the entire island, which is one massive farm. This is home of the 6th gym leader, which might be myself. It could be Reaper Rose. It could be any of us right now. There's going to be a lot of farm-based Pokemon here, so you're going to run into pig Pokemon, sheep Pokemon, cow Pokemon. I also like the idea of this place being like the main place for, like, it gets a lot of the food to the islands. So they're always going to have an abundance of items, so sometimes if you go visit back every day, you can get some free or beneficial items from it. Now from here, you have to you can do Route 28, which will lead you to another new and scary thought for Pokemon. Santa Irons, a military port. Yes, a military port. Soldiers live here, both retired and active, and it's run by a man by the name of Albert Fay, General Albert Fay. It has small shops, some fights, and it's home to a few rare Pokemon that you can get from quests. Now, north of Santa Irons is Route 29. Now, this place is going to be littered with just... It's going to be a bad place, alright? It's going to have wrecked ships, it's going to have oil spills, it's going to be home to steel and water and poison types. It's just some place you don't want to have to go. But unfortunately, there is no way of you getting here other than going across this area because, well, there just wouldn't be a way to get to a hard boss area without it. This will lead you to the Steel Hand Cruiser, a massive cruiser. And decommissioned cannons, of course. And it's home to the Steel Hand. You'll be able to run into a lot of the lieutenants and, of course, the leader here. There'll be a lot of construction-based Pokemon here. You'll find about them later on, which are actually found in the training chambers where you can go and catch them. There's going to be some shops and a couple of technological wonders like the scuba suit. This place will be another very important location later on, as will Santa Irons. However, going back to Santa Irons and heading down Route 30, which is to the southeast, to the bottom corner, you see this little circle in the bottom. This is to Prism Island. Now, Prism Island is going to be one of the greatest ideas I have. Now, there's lots of types of Pokemon, so depending on if it's day or night, and depending on the day of the week, the actual habitat and Pokemon living on this island will change. So maybe Monday or Sunday in the morning it'll be fire types, and maybe Friday at night it'll be dark types. Maybe Wednesday in the morning it's going to be water types. There'll be a small research base here that you won't be able to do much, but they'll be able to tell you what type of Pokemon are running around at that time. Now, from here, you'll head back up to Santa Irons, and you'll be able to head east. East to San Cristal. Oh, jeez. I forgot to mention some shit. Okay, so, just going back real quick, Honeycorn Port is on the Marie Island. Okay, San Cristal will be able to get you to Big Wing Port. This is going to be a massive city, and it's actually not going to be home of a Pokemon League. Or a Pokemon gym. But you can get yourself the airlift here. Now the airlift is going to be a little device that replaces Fly, and you'll actually be able to go to flying to different locations that you've already reached here. So once you get here, you get Fly. You don't have to worry about shoving it onto a Pokemon. Even though I think Fly was a great move. Not much to do here other than reach the shops and everything like that, so when you're ready, head east around Route 32, and you'll reach Dig Site Research Base. Now this is where this is the DRB, this is where all the 3 dig sites report their findings. It's basically a large tower where all kinds of research goes on, and it's home to the 7th gym. Now this is either going to be one based on archaeological digs, aka you'll be able to fight against, they might have dragon types, they might have rock types, they might have ground types, etc. Or it'll be a rock type gym. But trust me when I tell you, the rock types in this game are nothing to snuff at. They're going to be powerful. Now, there's going to be a bunch of quests here, but one of the most important things is this is going to be the 3rd most important part of the location, because this place is always under constant threat from the Steel Hand. And because of that, Santa Irons has to protect it. Of course, if something happens to Santa Irons... Wink. Now, if you head north from here, you'll actually reach Route 33, and hidden along Route 33 is a small path hidden that will take you to Psy Hill. Now, this is a small location filled with crystals and the very few psychic types that are actually found in the area. Now, there might be 1 or 2 psychic types in the other areas, but this is going to be the main location to find psychic type Pokemon. And there's actually a reason for that, but I can't ruin it for storyline reasons. And finally, to the east of there, across about 34, you'll reach Hobbit Point. Now, Hobbit Point is home of some very rare Pokemon, but because of an event, which I can't hint at just yet, there's actually a barrier that will protect or stop anybody from going in until the Azure Steel Clash has been fixed. But once you do get here, there's a few really good Pokemon you're going to want to get a hold of. Once you're done exploring here, it's time for the longest route. So, get yourself back to the Mary Island, and prepare to go across Route 35. Now, Route 35 is the 2nd largest route in the game. It's connected to the 1st longest, which is Route 36. Now, Route 35 is going to be massive, and the only way you can get across it, due to the fact that there's no boats that go to this location anymore due to the war that's happening, is to use your hover shoes. Now, along the path, there's going to be random flotillas. Now, these are going to move, so they're not going to be in the same location every time. These flotillas are going to consist of at least 1 or 2 Pokemon rest stops, small battles, mini-games, shops, and even a few large derelict boats for you to explore that may or may not have dangerous things on board. Hint. Wink. From here, you'll catty-corner yourself up to the largest route in the game. This is going to be Route 36. And when I mean large, I mean massive. It's going to be a massive explorable location, home to many Pokemon, large islands that are going to be randomly placed, and if you know where to go, know where to look, and have the scuba suit, you may even find one of the legendaries. A legendary Pokemon. Oh, yeah, no. A legendary Pokemon that can only be found in this location. Now, from here, you reach the most comically named area in the game, and I almost got punched for this one. So you're going to run to Harbor Port. It's actually comical on purpose, and they'll explain it in the game. This is a large city and home to the 8th and final gym. They're actually building a bridge from where they are located now to the destroyed harbor on the other side. The other harbor, of course, being Port Harbor. Yes, I know, the puns are real with me this time. At the end of the game, there's a large quest that will be involving fixing that other harbor port, or is it port, harbor, port? And if you do complete it, you'll be able to find a legendary that you can only find from an area that's found in the harbor. Now, not wanting to go that way because you can't right now, let's head to the northwest up to the Mount Massive. Now, I might change the name, but right now it's going to be called Mount Massive. It's going to be a large winding route that goes up to the top of this mountain, and along the way you'll actually hit different areas which will have different climates and different locations. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, you're doing that on a lot of these islands. Why are you doing that, Kaiju? There's a reason. The Galapagos Islands are well known for having multiple climates and multiple evolutions of Pokemon. So, you might run into a couple deer-type Pokemon in this game, but there'll be different types that have different appearances, different locations. But they're probably all from an original species that once started on one of the islands and then split off to different ones, just like the other actual animals on the Galapagos Islands did. I believe they said there's 32 different, somewhere around 32 different varieties of wren along the islands, and they're all based on one original type of wren. But some have larger bills for catching fish, some have smaller bills for eating seeds, some can even have long bills for getting insects from inside trees. That's the idea. Now, with these different locations, of course, there's going to be a lot of Pokemon, so save your Pokeballs for this location. This will lead you to the final and most important part of the game, Dig Site Alpha 1. This is the very first, this is that started it all. This is where the third legendary escaped from. This place is going to be just destroyed. It's going to be a lot of dug up dirt. There's going to be damage where the Pokemon probably fought back against the researchers. There's going to be destroyed buildings. But, for some strange reason, nature is already fixing it. You're actually going to find fairy types walking around and that you can catch that are actually trying to fix the area. You might even find one or two trying to fix the buildings for some reason. So, this is going to be the map that we're going to be using. And once I get skilled enough to actually be able to point out these locations, I'll get a better map. But for the time being, folks, this is going to be our map. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much with the details. Coming up next, we'll be dealing with Route 2, Little Pig Town, and possibly Route 4. Hopefully, if you guys would be so kind as in the comments below to choose. Would you rather these Pokemon and gyms be based on a particular type of Pokemon? Or would you rather an idea be based? Like each one's based off of, like I said, maybe one gym is run by a very rich individual, and maybe he's using Pokemon that are snobbish looking or very rich or something he'd have to pay for. Maybe there's a construction worker who uses Pokemon that usually help him build buildings and stuff. Please leave your comments below. I'm hoping to hear from you guys soon. Thank you again for watching the video. I hope I didn't bore anybody. Until next time, I'm KaijuK.
I'm Necro Nick.
We'll see you all in the future. Peace out, everybody.